Are you or somebody you know witty, committed, practical, and kind of a worst case scenario thinker? Do you align with authority figures like police officers, various religious organizations, or political ideologies? Then you are probably a six, the loyalist, defined by your need for security. Sixes are motivated by fear just like the rest of the head types. What I'm going to start with the sixes is a couple facts about them because they're a different one on the Enneagram. So sixes can be broken up into two parts. They're the only ones that can do that. The counterphobic six and the phobic six. The phobic six sees the world as a scary place and runs away from it and attaches itself to a authority figure like religion or spirituality or law enforcement, military, something like that. The counterphobic six runs directly towards what it's scared of, kind of like a snake, and charges at it and attacks it over there in things like the military and religion and things like this. So the best way to think about six is they are groupthink. It's theorized that as a child, sixes didn't have a lot of authority figures that were secure in their lives, and so they go out and they try to attach themselves to something higher because they don't know how to trust themselves. Another theory is that they had an overbearing parent, and so that kind of crippled them, and so they have to go out and attach themselves to something big like religion or my political party. Or their political party. A lot of people who study the Enneagram think that sixes might be the biggest category on the Enneagram chart, that most of the world, about 50% of the world is probably a six, and the other 50% is the other 8 numbers. So they probably make up a big percentage of the world. I don't think so much here in the United States, but I think in other countries, sixes might make up a vast majority of the world with the loyalist viewpoint. They're in the West over here, we're kind of losing that sense of religion and that sense of, collective thinking, and we're kind of individualist over here. So in other countries, I think they're still practicing that, not for good or bad. Again, nothing on the Enneagram is neither good nor bad. If you identify with the bad, we usually tend to identify with the bad. So I'm telling the bad first, but we usually tend to identify with that and internalize that and be like, oh, I think that's me. So if you feel that way, then congratulations, you're a six. There are good things about the six, which I'll get to, but first, just a little more about the six. Sixes have anxiety about the world, and they think it's a scary place. And so in order to control that anxiety, they attach themselves to God or military or country or race, and they usually focus the positives on themselves as the chosen ones. As God's people, we are better than the sinners on the outside, or as Americans, we are greater than the other countries on the outside. As a black person, I am better than the white person, and this goes on and on and on and on in the six mind. Sixes tend to focus their anxiety and fear into the others. So the other countries they're scared that the other countries are going to do something, that China is up to something all the time, or that it's the specific race is up to something all the time, and they're the ones that are bad. And if we just didn't have those kind of people on the planet, that the world would be a better place. I mean, we have to look no further than what's going on right now in Palestine and Israel. We have people with that six energy kind of like cheering for a team or trying to defend one side or the other. It's all bad. And yes, some people have done horrific things and others have done other horrific things that may not be as horrific as the other things, but it's all horrific. And there's innocent people on the ground suffering on both sides. And we just get into this six kind of mentality on social media where we champion one side over the other and we take sides, and we're not there. We're over here. We don't know what's going on, really. We're not down in the trenches looking at everything that's going on over there. We're all listening from hearsay, what we're getting reported on the news that may be corrupt or may be inaccurate. We don't know. So a lot of that six mentality is still going on, and So sixes tend to deal in black and white thinking. Just like the one who does it morally, sixes do it as whatever they're attached to. They can be attached to the LGBTQ plus AI thing, and they'll be like, whatever these rules are, I'm following them. I don't care what they say. It's black or white. You're either with us or you're against us. Are you the opposing side or are you on my side? And I mean, just hearing that, you can see why we're in such a spot that we are in today. If there is really a lot of sixes and we're both coming, and both sides are coming at each other with that same six energy of you're either with me or you're against me. And if you're against me, then I'm going to condemn you. Then, there's no wonder why we're in this position as we are in the world today right now. The six mentalities do start wars. They start the fundamentalist thinking of me good, you bad, black and white. That's it. There's no ambiguity with sixes or gray areas that the fours deal in, me, or objectivity that the fives deal in. There's no objectivity unless the sixes connect with their five wing. So sixes kind of think that they are doing the world a favor by shutting down conversations of the other people. So if somebody on the other side has something to say and they shut you down, they think that that's great and that they're doing you a favor by that you're not allowed to talk because you don't believe in the same things that I do, so therefore you have no worth, which couldn't be farther from the truth to me as a 4, but as a 6, that's the way they see it. So yeah, we don't have to look farther than Israel and Palestine right now. And I mean, this is historically shown that the desire for security mixed with anxiety and fear can make us do crazy things to one another, and that's what the sixes have to watch out for, especially the counterphobic sixes. These radical ideas are more of the counterphobic sixes. There is the phobic six, which is much more relaxed and much more abundant to us, luckily for all of us. So the phobic six is, they're loyal friends, they're loyal churchgoers, they're not radicalized, they just have the propensity to be attached to whatever they're attached to. They're naturally humble. They're still a little bit anxious, but they do well to manage that, and they'll stick by your side lifelong. They'll be your buddy. They still do believe in things like their country, their sexual ideology, their political stance or whatever, but they don't condemn you for it. They have their side and you have your side, and they'll leave you alone. These are the much more typical sixes that we see every day, not the psychopathic counterphobic sixes, which are not in the US too many, but there is. I think Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, is a perfect example of a 6 with a 5 wing gone completely wrong. And the ideology mixed with the anxiety, mixed with the detachment that, 5s have too, living off in the woods and building bombs and shit. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. So when 6s are healthy and they're in the phobic 6, they are self-trusting. They move towards trusting themselves and away from trusting authority. And what 6s do, whether they're phobic or counterphobic, is they will focus on authority and they'll either rebel against it or they'll conform to it. But when they're healthy, they don't need to do that. They ask themselves questions. They kind of connect with their 5 wing. And they connect with their 7 wing, and they go off and have more fun experiences and get out of their head and stop being that so anxious. And we'll talk about the 7 in a minute. 6s, when they're healthy, know for sure that nothing is certain, that anything can happen, and they're okay with that. And so the positive side of 6 is courage. When they can overcome all this anxiety and fear, and it takes a lot for them, but when they can, they become the most courageous and humble people that you can ever meet. And I think that's something that anybody can aspire to be, no matter what number you are. 6s are able to trust themselves up into a certain point in childhood, and then a wound comes or affirmation comes, and their authority figures, their parents, are maybe too overbearing, or they are praising and affirming them when they are not trusting in themselves and they're trusting authority instead of their own thoughts. And that's how you create a 6 at childhood. At least that's what it's theorized to. And so they realize that they can't trust themselves and that the authority figures in their world are probably right. And, the battle for them to figure out their own thoughts kind of commences. And 6s are always doing this. Sometimes when a 6 grows up and moves out of the house, they'll then find a partner who mirrors the same type of authority figure that their parent was. And then the cycle for them to figure out who they really are just starts up all over again. And that's the challenge of their nature, is figuring out who they really are on the inside. And famous people who are 6s are Tom Hanks and Emma Watson, because of their hardworking and responsible nature and their need to feel safe and secure. And I got that off a website because I wasn't sure who was a 6, but there you go. So their gift is courage and their weakness is fear. Almost completely opposite. As I said, a lot of 6s are worst scenario thinkers, but when they're healthy, they move away from that. They move into a world of possibilities where bad things may happen, but that's the way it is, and I'm not going to fixate on that. I'm just going to relax, meditate, breathe. That's what they need to do, is they need to breathe. 6s need to breathe, I think. Like I said, the way out for 6s is courage, moving out of external authority and into internal authority, finding their own leader within them and not relying on somebody else to lead who has all the answers. And that's the sad thing with 6s, is they can be manipulated very easily. They can be led around by all these other numbers, the 8, the 1, the 3, into doing all this kind of stuff because they are so easily malleable and so quick to follow anything that somebody says. And once they follow something, that's the end. They're with them, and there's nothing that you can say that'll put them on the other side of that. So they do get manipulated quite a bit. Superhero that identifies the 6 energy, or movie character, is Captain America. He is part of the American tribe and is loyal to that, and runs at danger full speed ahead, courageous, dutiful, and embodies all of the positive aspects of a 6. So if you're having trouble with knowing your number, if you're unsure about your number and you've listened to everything and you still don't know, you're probably a 6, because you don't trust yourself. And so you need somebody else to tell you what number you actually are. Everybody else can probably figure it out, but 6s can't. So if you've heard everything and you're still like, you're probably a 6. So that's the Enneagram 6. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on Instagram, click the link above to see the full video, to learn more, and watch some of my other videos on my channel. And I'm just trying this video style out. I don't know if it's going to stick, but we'll see. And thank you. See you later.